Welcome to the TOPS 1 training presentation series, a 4-course series over navigation and owners, generally specified to all users and admin. Day 2, banking and payables. Day 3, accounts receivable cycle. And Day 4, management specific tools. Today's agenda will begin with login, navigation, property owners and options, actions for properties, finding an owner, additional contacts, custom field creation, admin only, again specific to the admin rights for the creation of users, roles, and community lists, and finally automation. Chapter 1, logging in from any device, showing the responsive layout of the software. Whether you are logging into the TOPS 1 software from a desktop, laptop, tablet, or smartphone, you can access the software in any one of these areas, any one of these platforms. As you can see from the graphic, TOPS software does recommend for best experience to download or use Google Chrome. Available on most platforms and is the best way to experience our software. Navigation in the TOPS 1 software begins by production clients signing in to one.topsoft.com, entering your login, typically your email address and password of your choice, clicking the Remember Me box, and clicking to log in. The main navigation or entry screen within the main organization is truly the portfolio of your company within our software, where you can clearly see from the KPI blocks at the top, the colorful blocks running horizontally across the top of the software interface, which will show you all communities, properties, owners, work orders, service requests, even open violations as well. From this position, the user when logging in will also see any and all tasks assigned to them or that need their attention, and all activity of all communities that they are responsible for. This can be navigated to at any time by selecting the TOPS 1 logo at the top left corner of the screen. There are navigational tips and tricks for getting around the software, enough to fill a library. However, of course, upon your own experience and your own choice and desired navigation, there are multiple ways to navigate to the same position within the interface itself. To begin speaking about navigation, we will first break down the terminology of the interface. The first item at the very top is the universal search bar. Next is the main menu or main navigation along the left-hand side of the interface. Also the notifications bell at the extreme right-hand corner next to your login and log off specific. As we introduce the terminology, universal search can be used in multiple different ways. As we can see here from the graphic, we can type in little information and get more responses, or type in more information and be more specific to get less responses, more specified. Universal search can be used to search for properties, homeowners, even transactions as well. Like any other difference engine, our universal search is Google-like. Again, simply type the first few characters you want to search for, and TOPS 1 will display all the records that are closely matching that. If you don't see what you want, type a few more characters, or even less, to review more information, or click the View More to load full search results that have been found. Some different ways that you can use the universal search. You can not only search by any module, but you can search the entire portfolio, or even use your search to navigate through the system. You can look for record data, names, addresses, email, phone numbers. You can look across the entire portfolio at global vendors, banks, check numbers, and batch numbers. Or even use it as navigation to apply charges, pay bills, or add journal entries. To continue the terminology lesson, we stop with the main menu, the primary source of navigation in TOPS 1. From the left-hand navigation, you can navigate to any part of the TOPS 1 platform. This navigation pane on the left is persistent when opened on a desktop version of the application. It is consistently, however, hidden on tablet and smartphone application. Click to collapse to hide this, to open up the activity area and workspace, or click the TOPS One logo to return to home, again, your portfolio as seen in the software. Click the arrows to drill down to various sections within each area of the navigation. As we expand the top area of the navigation, first of all, Portfolio will open to show us our communities, our properties, our owners, and banks, again, that are global and not specific to any one community. Next is the Accounts Receivable area, which expands to show accounts charges, invoices and statements, cash receipts, adjustments, collections, and the exportation of HOA validation, available at any time. Next is the Accounts Payable area that expands to show the vendors, again global like banks, activity within Accounts Payable, entering bills whether handwritten or otherwise, and the ability to make payments. Next is the General Ledger. This expands to show our chart of accounts, our ability to make journal entries to those accounts, the formulation of budgets, as well as the audit log that tracks changes to the General Ledger itself, based on user, date, and time, and the action preceded. The Management section will expand to show our work orders, service requests, and CC&R violations fulfillments, activity and tickets for each area. Finally, we'll expand out reporting, which is broken down into three main areas: standard, the predefined reports; custom reporting. In this area, you can actually create or design your own reports within the limits of the report writer; and also packages, which allow you to create groupings of reports where you can pull these together into a package that can be downloaded or printed with one request. Standard reports, as we select this area of indication, designed in TOPS One and predefined for you, allowing you to, of course, adapt your own parameters to the report when running it. As we can see here, community and owners broken down into annual meeting, owner's phone, and owner's summary, with a good English description next to it. Simply selecting the hyperlinked or underlined title of that report will open the report for you. As we navigate into standard reports, it is broken into categories as we see here: community and owners, general ledger, accounts receivable, accounts payable, management, administration, and finally year-end. Specific to the custom reports area is the designer. As we can see in the upper graphic, after we've placed the basic demographic information, of course, of name, display, and description, we're able to facilitate the start date, end date, any cost centers involved. Exportation formats of PDF, Excel, and Word can be applied, as well as the orientation being able to be changed for that particular report, from landscape to portrait, or vice versa. Once the top area has been completed, the lower area, or the design portion of the report, will open. This area can be defined based on the adding of new elements to the areas of the report, making up the body of that report. These can be ranges, totals, lines, labels, empty lines, and page breaks. Lastly, the third indication for reporting is the Packages area, where we can combine multiple reports for printing in TOPS One. So we can see the name, the inclusion of a cover page or table of contents. In the lower area to the left are the actual reports that can be added to this bundle or package. By simply putting your check mark in the box next to the named report, individually it will open the parameters side directly to the right adjacent to this reports area. The parameters will allow you to select parameters specific to each report. Consistently, all users will use the notifications bell at the top right extreme corner of the software interface. When selecting the bell icon, it will expand the left-hand navigation, open up the right-hand side, and show us news and information from the TOPS software. Notices, system updates are pushed across your system, notifying you when TOPS One jobs are completed, such as internal reporting, statements, exports, coupons, and scheduled automated jobs. The breadcrumb trail, which is the light blue stripe across the top of the interface, just under the logo and search bar, this area is illuminated and tells you in the program where you are at all times. It is a historical measure to show you communities you visited, actions you've proposed, allowing you also to switch among communities and switch actions or functions right from the breadcrumb trail. Continuing our concentration along the top portion of the interface is the user actions. As we select the user icon, the extreme right-hand corner of the interface, when it is expanded, 3 selections are available. The ability to go into the user profile itself by selecting the actual email address you see, selecting the help, or logging off. From the indication, we can select to go into the user profile. Once in the user profile, we can edit the user, add a comment, or even add a task. One can use this for themselves to add tasks to create a to-do list that is present in the activity screen when logging in initially. Attachment galleries are found throughout the system, able to take on and attach multiple types of graphic files. When Help is selected from the user logon, you'll be navigated to an additional tab. This is the TOPS1 user documentation and other resources availability. From here, you can take a look at organizational hierarchies, how-tos, frequently asked questions, accounting setup, managing users, and other information, as well as our knowledge base articles. Give you a leg up on training at any time you wish. And lastly, the ability to log off the system. As the TOPS1 system can hold sensitive information, it is always a good idea, security-wise, to log off from your device when not using TOPS1. There is also a timeout feature that will assist with this and log you out if you are stagnant for an extended period of time, generally 10 to 15 minutes. Property record options in TOPS1. Actions you can take on a property or owner record. As stated earlier, selecting a property, or truly any part of the navigation, can be done in multiple different ways. For example, selecting a property can be done from the main navigation menu on the left-hand side. It can also be navigated to from the breadcrumb trail at the top of the software, from the owner screen or the center activity, and also from the use of the search bar at the very top of the interface as well. Once a property is selected in TOPS1, let's discuss what can be done as actions for that property, whether a resale or the removal of transactions against the property. Under Property Actions, when selected, you may edit the property, add a violation, add a service request, a work order, a comment, a task for yourself or other users within the system. You may generate a statement, resell the property, remove transactions entered in error, send owner access registration, or remove the property. As we select each one of these actions, we'll break them down. If I choose to edit a property, I can edit the address, account number and lot number, square footage, assessed value, even owner ratio. I can determine to hold a payment, a delinquency notice, determine they are a direct debit owner, or if the property is a rental. From the same Property and Actions button, we can determine to add a violation from the property record. This is just but one area, one way we can add a violation to a property. As we can see in the graphic, once we have the property selected above, we'll be able to place the date. Select the CCR code in question, which will auto-populate the CCR article it refers to. The detailed description, action to resolve, all can be overridden or edited as needed. Also, if you notice at the bottom, the attachment gallery also exists, allowing the individual management to take a photograph of such a violation, adding it to the record, even out in the field through their smartphone. should the owner of such a property contact us requesting service to their property, we can add a service request from the property card as well. Ensuring the property is selected, the function can be changed from service request or work order right here. The creation date and even scheduling can be applied to automate this job should it be a reoccurring preventative maintenance measure, for example. We can specify, of course, below the information for the work order type, the code description, detail, and actions to take, as well, again, as the attachment gallery can be used throughout the system. The Actions button can also be used to add a comment to such a property. In this way, of course, we can add a subject and message, even include these messages on reports specific to that property or owner. Remember to click the actions at the top when finished and save. As mentioned previously, the property can even allow you to add a task to that particular person. You can add a task to yourself or others within the system as users as well in TOPS 1. Again, it will notify you as a user of the system when logging on if you have outstanding to-do tasks today. Tasks will show on the home page and the community page that user is responsible for. As you can see, from the Actions button, we can also choose to send a letter to that property. To homeowners, we can choose print, email, or both, and based on templates that we have in a template library that we can create in Word 2013 or higher or Office 365 using the Merge Code Manager provided by TOPS. These are based on, again, on templates created in Word. We'll talk about this more later in an additional class under Form Letters. On the property card, under Actions, we can also choose to resell the property. Under Actions and Resale, we would enter the resale date. Once this has been determined, we would select either an existing or a new owner for this property. If existing is selected, of course we'll be able to choose from the existing list of owners we currently have for that community. If a new owner is selected, we would then enter their contact information. We would then be able to set what happens to the history of that property. There are 3 choices here. The history of the property can be determined whether the information is specific to the account staying with the previous owner. The account history can go to the new owner, or we can split the account history based on the resale date. We can then set primary assessments to the individual and to the property. And then produces a review screen. As we can see at the top navigation, we're able to travel backwards and forwards within this to edit as needed. Once we have saved this, it's now part of the record. Once the resale action is completed, the resale property retains the new primary owner information, and the previous owner is then listed under contacts as a previous owner. In TOPS 1, in the same property, from the Actions button, we can remove transactions. Several different ways. As we're seeing this here on the activity screen, we can also select the X button next to the activity of that particular transaction. Like undo for mistaken transactions like double charging, accidental posting to wrong accounts, and so on and so forth. Under Actions Remove Transactions, this is especially popular among accounting specifics, as it automatically creates a reversal entry for both sides of the general ledger. This being a double entry accounting system, this is necessary, of course. It hides this from the general ledger itself and from the reports of the general ledger. However, it does not hide these actions from the audit log report for general ledger, which will show all updates, creations, and deletions. We referred to navigation at the beginning part of the series. We'll talk again about that here in Chapter 5, Finding an Owner, Locating Owners in TOPS 1. From the left-hand navigation, in the TOPS 1 interface, we can select under Portfolio our owners, which will present them in a card view or list view as we wish to toggle back and forth, depending on our own desire. We can also use global search. Once we have found an owner through the global search, we're typing in little information or more. Selecting that will populate the information in the workspace below. Once we've selected owners, for example from the left-hand navigation, the main workspace will expand to show us the views. They can be in card or list view. And as we can see in the top right corner, we can navigate to either one. We see examples of both here. Tops 1 has multiple ways to sort the owners list. You can look at the views and decide how you want to order owners, by account number, balance, by name first or last, or by address, number, or street. When looking at owner information, whether in card or list view, we will be able to see and act on the same indications. As we can see here, basic demographic information as well as balances, account numbers, open violations, work orders, service requests. If we're using the application on our smartphone, we can select to call the mobile of this owner right away. We can also email, which will open your defaulted email application and send an email to the property owner themselves as well. On each page, you will see an Actions button. This will inform you of what actions you can perform on that particular screen. From the owner screen, you may edit the primary owner, add a comment, a task, send messages, generation of statements, send out or access registration email, and remove the primary owner as well. To edit the primary owner will allow the entry of all demographic information first entered, of course. Allows also the entry of owner delivery preferences, either print or email from the same location. Property managers can track additional contacts in Tops 1, whether they be additional owners, renters, visitors, or other people in the community as well. From the property card we see here, in the center activity area of the interface, we can add a new contact to the property record. Again, whether it be an owner, a renter, a visitor, or even a previous owner as well. When you've selected to send the owner access registration email, a window will appear requesting permission to send the standard defaulted access letter to the owner. Chapter 7, Custom Fieldwork. We can define data for organizational use for owners, properties, reporting, and more through custom field generation. In Tops 1, as we can see, we can add custom fields. Under the admin indication, at the lower left-hand navigation, we can add or edit custom fields or view all custom fields created at this point. In Tops 1, as we select to add a custom field, we first distinguish the name that will be displayed to describe this field. Once the field type has been assigned, you can easily use the icons to edit and create new custom fields throughout the system. When editing, you can save, move up, down, move from the left to the right column, go into the settings, or remove the category. When settings is selected, the category settings include enabling the category, category description, default, category information, availability, which communities, and which roles. After the custom field is created, if not saved, it can be edited, of course, and can be moved to another category using the speared plus sign we see here. In Tops 1, Chapter 8 is specific to administration. This area requires administrative rights, as it is used to create users, distinguish permissions for roles, and add individuals' responsibility to community lists. From the left-hand navigation, selecting Administration, We can also, of course, from the activity screen when selected, choose multiple different areas to interact with. We're going to concentrate on users, roles, and community lists for the specific area. Users, of course, are being given access to the system specifically. Those users are then given specific roles or the module rights and permissions, security-based. Community lists give that user and the role specific access to communities. As we bring on staff into our management company, we'll want to introduce them as users and give them access to the communities. We want to think about minimum requirements, being name and email address, of course. New users' login information is emailed to them, or they can create their password as they desire. User roles and permissions are determined and specified basic to the system. Think about their security from the highest level you wish to give, not the lowest. The TOPS 1 system comes with predefined roles, 4 specifically: administrator, manager, maintenance, and accounting. All other roles can be determined by you. As we create our role, once we've given it a definitive name, you will then see indications on the left-hand side of that work area defining each area of the navigation, AP, AR, GL, and so on and so forth. Each area will have a gray line extending to the right of it. Clicking on this gray line will expand it below and show you each area of activity specific to that category. Executing reports, printing checks, and so on and so forth as specific to this particular area, we can give them read, create, update, and delete as permissions. We can use the All button to speed the process by adding all of the permissions to the person or removing all permissions for that action. If the block is colored blue, you are giving access. If it is clear, they do not have access in that particular permission. If you have questions about what kind of access this particular role will need, you can choose the I indication. The I button will give you more information about what is needed to perform that particular action in the system. Again, from the admin selection on the left-hand navigation, we can create the community lists and set up user access to those communities, allowing them to fulfill their management responsibilities. The administrator of the system can add community lists at any time. List name, the number of communities, and the users in which they will be responsible for. Selection here will allow what community a user can access. Chapter 9. Automation. TOPS 1 allows you to automate most processes within the system, freeing up workflow and allowing the process to remain smooth and consistent. Whenever selected on a function within the system, such as recurring charges, payables, journal entries, even work orders, these can be automated. If you see a scheduling indication to the right-hand side of the interface, you'll generally have 3 choices under the drop-down. This time only, which will process this one time, schedule to accrue and notify you when the process is finished. Accruing is simply half the process, most of the time. It will also need to be posted by you manually if this selection is made. Automate will automatically post the transaction after accruing, completing the job in a totally automated position. You can also go in and take a look at each automated job and edit as necessary. From the Automation button, the left-hand navigation adjacent to Admin, you'll be able to review your scheduled jobs that you have set up for automation or reoccurrence. By selecting on the left-hand portion of the activity screen, the hyperlinked job number will take you to that job, allowing you to edit it for future application. You can also see the details of the job, the description, when last it was run successfully, when it is scheduled to run next, and the ability to toggle it on and off through the green flip switch you can see here on the right. Able to disable it or enable it whenever you decide.